Ok, y vamos a empezar un poquito temprano, un minuto temprano, solamente un minuto. Y buenas tardes, ¿cómo están ustedes? ¿Están bien?
Yeah.
¿Están bien? Sí. Ah, hubo una tormenta aquí hace 2 días, creo que sí, hace 2 días. Y una tormenta de solamente 20 minutos, pero fuerte, fuerte, fuerte. Ah, y ahora es la única lluvia que tuvimos. Yeah, we got one really, when you can't count
Mhm.
to one between the lightning and
Mhm.
Oh,
the thunder. Oh, yes, it's like unplug everything at home. Yeah, that was us. It was sort of interesting. Okay. Bueno, vamos a empezar con la clase de esta noche y vamos a empezar con algo primero, es como la única cosita, pero bastante breve. We're going to start with something brief because I promised to do this for a couple of weeks and it kind of got tabled and got tabled. And with this being the last summer session, I want to make sure we don't forget about this. We had a question come up about atrás versus detrás. We're going to cover that because it's not terrifically difficult. So we're going to lead off with that so that I don't forget to put that in. We're going to also do a little bit of a walkthrough on our video and have our questions about special places you go to eat. Okay. Anybody have difficulty with the video? I had some folks this morning who were like,
Yes, I agree with them. I
okay.
do not, and I knocked it down the speed.
Okay. That's what my other person, gracias. Gracias. Somebody else said that morning session. And it occurred to me, well, number one, I picked it only because it was kind of an interesting topic, but, and sometimes you get a wealth of videos that you build up that I can use this. And then sometimes you find new content, but it's like, well, this isn't a particularly interesting topic. So I picked it because of the interest of the topic, but a lot of folks had trouble with the speed. So we're going to do a quick walkthrough on some segments with that before we do our questions. The reason that probably gave you difficulty, and I will bear this in mind when I assign new videos, is number one, she's very young, she goes very fast. Number two, she's just kind of doing the scattered thing. She is not trained. She does content for fun, not to specifically teach language. And there's a difference. She does content for the topics of interest, but does not engage or really know about the techniques of slowing down and repeating the same information in different ways, which the language instructing video makers do try to think about. So because of that, we'll run through some of that. However, in an odd sort of way, it is a good, I don't want to say training, but a good exercise, let us say, in, again, just listening for the big idea. But I'll do the walkthrough on that. And then we'll do our little conversation. And then we'll tie some things together about hopefully what you've noticed. And we'll try to peg it when we do our little walkthrough. Things that she used with present perfect, which are super, super, super common with Spanish speakers from Spain. Okay. Vale, vamos a empezar con primero, the first thing, so I don't forget to plug this concept in, because this concept was asked a while back. Y la pregunta es, ¿cuál es la diferencia entre detrás y atrás? ¿Hay una diferencia? ¿Por qué tenemos muchas palabras? Why do we have so many words? And in the process of checking out some videos to help you with this concept, because it's not really a deal breaker, okay? But a lot of prepositions that deal with position of things a lot wind up having kind of similar quirks, let us say, okay? Like debajo, abajo, delante, adelante. You see where I'm going with this. So this is kind of a recurrent thing that happens with certain kinds of words that describe where stuff is. Okay, things that are prepositional in nature, that prepositions of place, So you'll notice that a lot of these words that tell you where things are located or where things are moving, where things are in space, often have a version with an a and a version with a de. This is not unusual. So, por ejemplo, vamos a ver varios ejemplos con detrás, atrás. If you take those two little words apart, the real core is tras, T-R-A-S. Okay? Tras by itself can mean after, So detrás or atrás is always talking about this direction, okay? It's a directional kind of word. So I'll put on the CC just in case we need it, because I don't, ahora no recuerdo exactamente.
Yo estoy detrás, atrás de ti. Yo voy para detrás, atrás.
So which one makes sense, okay?
Hoy veremos atrás versus detrás. Usamos atrás cuando hacemos referencia a un movimiento.
Okay, so there's the general rule, okay? Atrás, when we attach an a, there's usually some kind of element of motion with the communication in that sentence, often with the verb, and you'll see what he uses here.
Yo voy para atrás.
Going backwards. Yeah. So you wouldn't say I'm going behind. Well, you might say I'm going behind her. Okay. But backwards, atrás, atrás.
Anda para atrás para que puedas ver mejor.
Go back so that you can see better. Anda para atrás. Okay. But you'll notice in both of these sentences, when we use an atrás, quite often the reason for using atrás with an a in front of the tras part is because I've got some kind of a verb of motion. Okay, frequently. Voy, anda para atrás, yeah. Walk backwards, walk this way, walk this direction, okay.
Él va para atrás y no para adelante.
He goes backwards and not forwards. And notice it's got adelante because we're talking about, again, ir, you know. You could throw in caminar, which would still be motion, right? So motion
Mi auto
activities.
está malogrado. No
Una
puede ir
pregunta,
hacia atrás.
Marilyn?
Okay, sí.
Just the last three examples, they had para in front of atrás.
Para
so you couldn't
atrás.
say el va atrás. You have to have the para in there, you know. I'm going behind backwards.
Yeah, remember, para is used when you have a destination. And
Okay.
this means, yeah, you know, Prepositions are just the trickiest things to get used to. And you just have to listen for what's the pattern that people tend to use. And a lot of times there are variations with these. So, you may hear people making certain sentences where they don't have a para, but
Okay.
yeah, para might be, because you're talking about getting there. Yeah. Para is often used where you might use right? When we talk
Okay.
about a destination. Okay. Vale.
Marilyn,
Gracias.
Sí.
Atrás.
the previous sentence, he's using malgrado. My car's broken. Malgrado. See?
Sí.
I had looked that word up. I mean, I figured it was bad. It didn't, something was wrong with the car. But I would have said está roto o no funciona. How common
Sí.
is malgrado?
So I would, okay, usually, I'm used to hearing when you talk about broken more words like roto or descompuesto.
Yes, yeah.
Descompuesto is broken down. Literally means compuesto is composed, put together.
Mhm.
So descompuesto is
Yeah.
broken apart, right? Descompuesto. Yeah. Malogrado. Yeah. But you get the idea, but with the malo part, malogrado, that it's not working, right?
A bad grade.
Yeah. There are always variations in vocabulary. It's just
Atrás
something
se
you get
usa
used
para
to.
indicar una posición general y detrás para indicar una posición relativa a algo o alguien. Generalmente necesita una preposición.
Let's stop it there. Atrás is used to indicate a general position. And detrás is used to indicate a relative position. No, a relative position, a position that is relative to something or to somebody. So, yeah, atrás, backwards in that direction, that means a general position, a general direction, right? But la foto está detrás de mi silla. The photo is behind my chair. Now that's relative to where it is to my chair. Yeah. So, I guess you can think of detrás as more fixed and it's relative to something else I'm referencing.
Pregunta.
Sí.
Could atrás and detrás be used for somebody who reads a magazine backwards? Like reads the back pages and then goes the other direction?
Ooh. Like that person who reads the last page of the book to find out what.
Yes, like that.
The end of the murder mystery.
Or is this more for
Sí,
position?
I've heard people, hace las cosas para atrás, they do things backwards. I guess you could. Supongo que sí, I suppose so. But, generally the question is just more, does it make a huge difference? Now you're going to see something else super, super brief after this that will be less pointed than this. So yeah, we'll let the rest of this roll. Okay.
One thing I noticed when he mentioned that you generally need a preposition for detrás, it seemed to me that you're getting detrás and then the preposition, but quite often with atrás, you get a preposition right before it.
Okay, so
la parte de
detrás de. La foto está detrás de mi silla. Detrás de. And often atrás might just be dangling there. Atrás, para atrás, backwards. Okay.
Right, but para is the preposition. I mean, if you looked at his examples, quite often there is one in either case, but it's either before or after, and it always seems to be before for atrás and.
I think how I would have preferred for him to phrase that is often the phrase is detrás de. Detrás de. Okay. And if you say that by itself, it's all good. Detrás de. Yeah. Because it has to be behind something.
Right.
Okay. So the way you often say a back seat of the car,
Mhm.
el asiento de atrás, el asiento de atrás, back seat. All right. But la foto está detrás de mi silla. The photo is behind my chair. But if it's just a seat in the back, it's el asiento de atrás. And it's just atrás ends it. Yeah. See? Okay. Okay, so usually detrás de, right? And atrás may be by itself. It may have more information. Depende. It kind of depends. So let's look at the examples.
Hay un espacio libre.
En la parte de atrás hay un espacio libre. In the back, la parte de atrás, in that general backwards area, yeah, there's some free space. Okay. La parte de atrás. And I'm not talking about behind somebody or behind this object, just the place in the back. The place in the back. En la parte de atrás. Okay. Vale. But now we're going to use detrás de, and we're going to say, we're going to be referencing another item, el auto.
Detrás del auto hay un espacio libre.
Detrás del auto, behind the car, hay un espacio libre. Behind the car. En la parte de atrás hay un espacio libre. In the back there, I don't say behind what, just, hey, in the back, yeah? Y es la diferencia. That's the difference there, all right? Okay, pero detrás del auto, behind the car, and now I'm referencing the car. Detrás del auto hay un espacio libre. Okay, let's let it roll with the rest of these.
El jardín está en la parte de atrás.
The garden's out back. It's in the back, it's out back. It's in the back part of the lot. You know, however you want to phrase that, right? But notice, often, la parte de atrás, it's in the back. In the back, okay? And I don't say behind something or behind somebody, just in the back. A backward direction.
El jardín está detrás de la casa.
The garden or the yard is behind the house. And now I'm saying it's not in front of the house, it's behind the house. Where is it relative to the house? So detrás de is usually attached to that little word de, and detrás is going to reference where it is relative to some other object or some other human being. Okay? Bien.
Nunca debes mirar hacia atrás.
You should never look back. Backwards, yeah, back, but not behind something, just back. Atrás, just back. Okay.
Mira detrás de ti. Hay algo interesante.
Look behind you. And it's relative to
You.
Yeah. Mira detrás de ti. Look behind you. Ooh, I got to do that because, yeah. Bueno.
Ten cuidado con los perros de atrás. Los perros se escondieron detrás del árbol.
And now we're saying that the place where those dogs are behind an object, the tree, el árbol. Okay. But notice this detrás de, detrás de, detrás de. Okay.
Caminamos por atrás para llegar más rápido.
Now, walk around back. But atrás is around the back way. Yeah, walk around the back way in that back area.
Caminamos por detrás del edificio porque es más seguro.
Okay. And there you're talking about behind the building. So again, we're referencing behind in relation to el edificio, the building.
El niño está en la parte de atrás. El niño está detrás.
And yeah, but again, you notice it could be detrás de ti, detrás de su mamá, detrás del grupo de chicos. It could be, yeah, behind any item.
Ejercicios. Completa con atrás o detrás.
Ooh, voy corriendo. I go running.
Cross.
Atrás.
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 Think across.
Voy
Yeah.
corriendo.
Here it's backwards. Yeah, here it has the meaning of backwards, so it's atrás. I'm not saying behind an item, okay, or out in the back area, but backwards, yeah, para atrás.
Para atrás.
Ah, detrás.
Detrás.
Detrás, sí.
Detrás de ti.
Detrás de ti, I'm, yeah, right? We're talking about the car and where ti, where you, you know, where you are.
El auto está detrás de ti.
So detrás again, detrás de, and we're referencing where it is in relation to somebody or something else. Detrás de ti. Okay, bien.
Atrás.
Atrás.
Out back, there's more space. There's more room.
Handing down.
Atrás.
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 En la parte de atrás hay más espacio.
Oh, behind you, there's a really pretty tree.
Detrás. Detrás.
Atrás.
Detrás de ti hay un árbol muy bonito.
Hacia there means towards, in the direction of. Debemos ir, we ought to go.
Atrás.
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 Debemos ir hacia atrás para llegar más rápido.
To get there faster.
Y
¿Sí?
ahora la tarea.
Bien. Bien. Okay. Vale. Bien. Vale. And now we're going to get a short take, which may seem somewhat confusing, but grain of salt. This is actually kind of helpful. The core thing you should take off, I mean, that's a good thing because it's telling you relative versus a general area or a like directional movement. Yeah. Sometimes people really mix it up with this. So here's a different take.
Between atrás y detrás. They're actually the same thing.
They're the same thing. Oh, just when I thought I had it sorted out. Well, but you know, ultimately they are kind of the same thing. They're telling you in the same direction, right? It's just that the detrás usually has the de tagged onto it and it's giving you a relative position. So let's let her finish.
Both of them mean behind, and you could use atrás de, detrás de, or tras.
And tras. So now, having said all of this, this shows you that sometimes people really do just
Mix things up.
mix it up because they feel like it. So there's
I
the
thought that
uncomfortable
was a-
truth.
a good revelation though, that you could just say trust and be done
Yeah.
with it.
But, there are certain things that might be more the usual take. Yeah, right.
Sure.
Detrás de, when you reference an item, something is behind this other item. Detrás de, that's the usual take. It won't usually be tras. But, once in a while, especially having to read a lot of things, a lot of times I would see people using tras in writing like that and then be like, oh, why are they doing this to me? But I'll let her finish it. But in general, but here's the thing. So even though these little things might be easy to get confused, once you know that tras is talking about that, really you won't go wrong with the idea being communicated. Okay, so I'll let her finish.
Ratoncito tras el armario. There was a little mouse behind the dresser. What's the difference between
So sometimes you do hear people mixing it up, native speakers, and that'll happen. But, está bien, it's okay. Generally, that first video gives you a better rule of thumb. And when you're speaking, when you're referencing an item, I'm saying it's behind a thing or a person, detrás de, and then naming that item is the better idea. Okay. And the atrás is just going to give a general feeling of behind or in a backwards direction. It's often used with verbs of motion. There you go. And you can say much the same thing for things like delante or adelante or things like that. See? Okay. Karen, see.
I was just going to ask you about that, about some other examples. You said abajo, debajo.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Un ejemplo. Bajo, which by itself often means short, right? Okay. If we turn it into a verb, bajar, it means get down out of a vehicle or to come down from a place high up. And now when I use it as debajo de, just like detrás de, debajo de is underneath something. So it's in reference to some other object you're going to name. Debajo de, sí, hay un gato, miren. Wow. Oh, eso no, it won't work. Okay. I was going to try to show you something. Esto. A ver. Sí. El libro está debajo de la jarra de crema. See, if I'm referencing it, yeah, it's debajo de, just like it's detrás de. Bien. But you might hear somebody say, you go up to a tall place and they say, ooh, mira abajo, look down. And then they're saying, look this way, right? Direct your sight in this direction, and not saying below something else, just look down, abajo. Okay? So you'll hear a number of prepositions that can kind of do things like that in Spanish. They can get a de, they can get an a. And just know that a often is helpful with the movement issue, right? See?
And it looks to me like you could very easily remember it by, if you were going to say, voy a, va a. So you just put that a in the beginning of the word, and then the detrás has the de built into the front of it, and then you add it to the end. So it's like
eso es.
Bookends.
Eso es, yes. So that is absolutely true. And again, that's something you get a feel for. And that's the way you hear people phrasing it. So, okay. Vale. Muy bien. We're going to move it on. We're going to do a quick walkthrough. There are going to be some places we fast forward because it's kind of filler. Yeah. filler. And I will be more mindful next time we get a video that even if it's maybe not my idea of the most thrilling subject, that will get somebody who really does the good repetition that you need. So, okay. La culpa es mía. That's on me this time. Okay. And remember, I'm actually going to turn the audio quite a bit down so that I can kind of talk over her and keep this up. And keep in mind, these AI generated subtitles are not 100% accurate. They don't always interpret everything exactly right. And I'm not going to give you a word for word translation. I'm going to not translate, but interpret. Okay, I'm going to interpret before we have our questions based on this. But I do want you to notice as she goes through, every time you have an has tenido, yeah, or an he tenido, kind of keep that in the back of your gray matter, in the back, and notice how many times she uses that. And she uses it either to talk about a have you ever situation, or more frequently to talk about, oh, I have just done this thing recently, which is the key, because this is a much favored thing with people who live in Spain, to use this instead of pretérito. Okay, and this is kind of a cultural difference in just which past tense one part of on one end of the ocean uses versus the other end of the ocean. So, el título, cogí un tren, I caught a train, and we would say, tomé un tren. Tomé un tren, I took a train. I took the train to Valencia because I felt like like eating some paella. All right, so that's the theme. That time when you run out somewhere, probably closer than she is between Madrid and Valencia, but the time you gotta make a road trip, gotta do a day trip, just to like scratch that itch to, you know, you got a yen for something. Okay. Have you, yeah, alguna vez, oye, a ver, alguna vez, at any time, right? At any time, have you ever had a yen for paella? Yeah, a longing for paella. You really, really feel like having paella. And at that moment, there's a train. And she says, sometimes hay que subir. You just gotta get on the train. Yeah, and she's going fast. You know, it's only so many euros. I think she said 30 to go to Valencia. And life is too short. Life is very short. So you just got to get on that train. Oh, you have a yen for paella, but you got to go to paella. You may say, why does she have to go all the way from Madrid to Valencia to get a paella? And here is the reason. As I have been told by a Spanish native, because one of my first questions for this lady who was from Barcelona, not from Madrid, but from Barcelona, I said, where's a good place to get paella? And she said, nowhere. I said, but we're going to be in all these different cities. Somewhere along this route must have paella. That's good or decent. No. There is not one place we will be where you can get a paella. Oh, you can get a paella. It will be garbage. And she didn't use the word. It was a not nice word for garbage. It will be. I said, how is this possible? This is Spain. She said, because really nowadays, when you order paella, any place other than the region of Valencia, any other city, it will be garbage. Yeah. I said, seriously, you cannot be. Yeah, she said, here's why it is garbage. It is taken out of somebody's freezer shelf, out of a bag that they sealed shut and froze and stuck in the microwave. And that is not paella.
You want to have fresh cooked.
Apparently, now this is according to one person who told me, who has lived there all her life. So I'm going to trust her. And she said, nowadays, yeah, back when you were a student, maybe it was different. But nowadays, the only place to get really authentic paella is in Valencia. So the reason she's taking this trip is because you got to go there to get the real thing. And it does not come out of a freezer shelf from a little plastic bag that was sealed shut. Okay. So that's why she's talking about grabbing a train. You will find paella in Madrid. I guarantee you'll see it on menus. Barcelona, you will see it on menus, but it's not the same. Okay. So she says, I got on. And come with me to Valencia because it's been a real adventure. Okay. And she's talking fast and they do the fast cuts because she's young and that's what she's doing. So, okay. With its lights and its shade, but so with its good parts and its bad part is light and its shade. Yeah. All the good parts and the bad parts and the in-between. It's an adventure. And she says, look, very few people talk about the humidity. Very few people talk about humidity in Valencia. But, and here she uses this flipas. But you really wig out over the humidity. Flipas can either be a very positive thing or a very negative thing. You only hear this in Spain, not really in Latin America, to my knowledge. Flipar is flip out, either in a good way or a bad way. Flip out like, oh, I'm amazed. Or flip out like, I am freaked out over it. And now she's freaked out because es humedad, okay? So you freak out over the humidity. Y he venido, notice this, I have come. Yeah. And she just did this recently in the morning. She just got there a few hours before. So she's not using pretérito because that's what Spaniards do. And I have also come to get out of the heat, to escape from the heat, to get out of the heat. But this is not escaping from heat. I feel sticky all over my body. And when you live in Madrid, you don't realize that it's so dry there in Madrid. And when you do happen to come here, she goes like, I go to Galicia, and that's in the northeast part. She goes to Galicia a lot. She has friends in Galicia. And Galicia doesn't seem so humid, and that's right on the ocean.
But it's cold up there.
But it's cold. Hace frío, sí. Yeah. Galicia is one of the coldest parts of the country. Maybe if you take out the element of the Pyrenees, which that's cold there too. But yeah. But the heat is not mixed with the humidity. Yeah. But flipas. Oh, you freak out over this. You freak out because it's humidity she doesn't like. The incredible thing about Valencia is how green it is. There are so many trees in the city. And even at that, the shade, la sombra, the shade doesn't really refresh you. No te da ese frescor. It doesn't give you that freshness. So, yeah. It doesn't refresh you because there's so many humidity. So even with the shade, you're not refreshed. Okay, because it's so humid. But it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous with so much green all over. If only Madrid had so much green. Because it's gorgeous. Look, I'm not going to the beach now because if I go to the beach, I miss out on the paella. I got to make a choice. I cannot do both. If I go to the beach, and normally people who go to Valencia do go to the beach, that would be like usually the number one thing to do for fun. But if I do that, I miss it on the paella.
Si voy a la playa, hubiera perdido el mercado. Y siempre
And, you know, if I went to the beach, I would miss out on the market.
pierdo el mercado.
And I
Cuando
always
voy
miss
a
out the
Valencia,
market
que solo ha sido
when I
una
come
vez,
to
pero lo
Valencia.
perdí por eso, porque cierra a las 2, 3. Así que hoy de
And all these food places, El Mercado and her place to eventually get paella, they all close at a certain time, okay? People will tend to eat the paella not at that 10 o'clock in the evening meal. They'll tend to eat it almuerzo, the middle meal of the day, because that is your biggest meal. La comida más fuerte, meaning your biggest meal, right? The strongest meal is what they call the biggest meal, and that's your midday meal, not really the 10 o'clock eating.
decidí en vez de ir a la playa, pues
I
ir al
decided-
mercado. Y como no voy a la playa, pues veo esto y digo, solucionado. Es que
Yeah.
me muero. No sé cómo.
And so, you know, she had to solve her problem. Well, she's made her decision. You know, it's this indecision. What do I do? What do I do? But she really came there for the food. Me muero. I'm dying here.
Este calor es
I'm
un calor
dying here. I don't know how you stand this heat. I don't know how you, no sé cómo aguantas este calor. I don't know how you take this heat. How do you stand this heat?
húmedo.
It is a
Siento que estoy en
humid heat.
Texas y
I
estamos en
feel like I'm back in Texas.
julio, agosto.
And we're in July, like almost August, because she recorded this a little bit way back. And we're in
Va a ser
July.
peor. Y los que viven aquí
It's going to be worse. Va a ser peor. It's going to be worse.
estáis tan
And people who
acostumbrados a esta
live here,
humedad, cuando vais a
you
Madrid,
guys are so accustomed to this humidity. When you go to
¿os
Madrid,
convertís en pasas o
you guys must turn into raisins. Raisins are dry fruit, yeah. You guys are so used to this, and she uses that vosotros thing. You guys are so used to this humidity. You must feel like dried up raisins when you come to Madrid.
qué? Es que es tan seco Madrid en comparación.
It's so dry in Madrid.
Me
In
lo estoy
comparison,
pensando seriamente.
I'm
No
seriously
tengo
thinking
el
about
soporte.
getting
Te lo
myself in
juro.
that fountain.
Pero esto me ha servido porque ya no voy a quejar tanto del calor de Madrid. Porque yo pensé,
And actually, this has served a purpose for me because now I'm not going to complain so much about the heat in Madrid because it'll be minus the
de
humidity.
toda España, Madrid y Sevilla son los peores. Además,
And I thought about this, you know, when you think about Spain, Sevilla, Madrid, those are the hottest places. They are the worst. And she means because of the heat in the summer, worse
son
for
los
summer
peores
heat.
porque no tienen playa. Pero
And they're worse because they're hot and they have no beach. So, you know, Sevilla, Madrid, you don't have that nice beach area like you get with Valencia, like you get with Barcelona, you get with San Sebastián. Lots of places are coastal cities, but not, you know, Malaga, but certainly
toda
not this
España es un
area.
infierno ahora mismo.
And Spain is like hell. It is hell, meaning that hot, right?
Es un infierno. Bueno, todo el mundo, si somos sinceros, en Texas también hace 110
And she goes, well, look, everybody, if I'm going to be honest here, Texas is also like 110 right now.
grados en-
She talks
en
with
mi
her family.
idioma, no sé,
It's like
en vuestra,
110 in
45,
my language. I don't
47,
know
no
in
sé,
yours,
en
like
serio.
45, 47
Let's go.
centigrade. Yeah. And notice this is called Plaza de Ayuntamiento. This would be called Plaza de Ayuntamiento in regular Spanish. This is an example of the Valencian dialect. Valenciano is in turn a dialect of Catalan spoken in Barcelona. So, you know, Barcelona is up in the northeast section. And if you come south a little bit, boom, right on the coast there, you get to Valencia. And all that area used to be owned by, you know, the king, the king who actually ruled with Isabel. Yeah, that was part of his territory and more of a Catalan thing. So that's why you see the funny looking lettering there that is related to Catalan, but it is Valenciano. Okay. And ayuntamiento is like your town government. Okay, your town, your city hall type area. Okay, so government buildings are down there for the city. And okay, now she gets to her place. Es el bar.
Paella. Entonces he encontrado este sitio que te deja pedir solo una ración, que es muy poco común. Este sitio se
And
encuentra
you can just get one portion, one dollop of this, okay? And she talks about the neighborhood this in. It's a neighborhood called Rusafa. It's a happening, trendy kind of place, and she compares it to a couple of trendy neighborhoods, Malasaña or Chueca in Madrid. So this is in a trendy neighborhood, okay, a kind of hip neighborhood. And she's just asking, I'm sure you could make comment if you're from Valencia. And the music was turned up too loud in her restaurant, and she didn't really know if she could like avoid copyrights by recording, having the music in the background. So she talks about that. That's not really consequential to the story. Arroz a la banda. La banda is lavender. Lavender rice. It's just a special recipe they have there.
Pero hay alguna diferencia, no sé cuál es. Y creo que en Valencia es típico que te dan el pan con alioli.
They give you, a typical thing to serve is bread with aioli. Aioli, there is no real, well, aioli is aioli. It's like a garlic mayonnaise, garlicky mayonnaise. And you can make, you can make aioli sauces, yeah. If you look in any recipe book with Mediterranean cooking, you'll find aioli sauces. It's spelled A-I-O-L-I, aioli. Okay, this is a typical thing to put on instead of butter. You know, they're not big on butter with bread there. They're big on olive oil on bread, or like this, because it's still got an oil base to it. And she's talking about, I'm gonna tie up my hair. I'm dying here. She's complaining about the heat again. This place does have air conditioning, but I'm still dying in Valencia. And really, that is not aviones, she's aiolis. There are some aiolis that are super strong, fuertes, right? Super strong, too strong. But this is really good. And sometimes you toss in rice with all this too. And she's going to have some kind of inconsequential things here. Aquí. Bien. Okay. La paella. So paella generally is served in that big kind of wok looking thing. See? Bien. And this particular type of paella is one that I have not had. It's a crusty bottomed. Okay, so they just kind of scorch the bottom to the point where they get it crusty, where you have to actually break it up on the bottom. It's not gooey on the bottom. It turns kind of hard. What happiness! It's burning. Burning hot. I have, and notice again, he pedido, I have ordered, meaning she has done this recently. She just did it. I've ordered a little bit of lemon with this, because that's the way, me flipa. I love that stuff. I love it when you put lemon on this. Me flipa. I love it. And socarrat is the name of this type of a paella. And you can see on the edges how it looks kind of a darker brown. It's just a scorched bottom to make it crispy and crunchy.
Mira,
That's the
es
socarrat.
Muchas gracias. Guau, de locos, de locos.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Tengo media hora para
I
disfrutar.
got a half hour to enjoy this. So now she's doing a day trip, meaning she is not staying overnight. She's not going to spend money. No va a pagar por un hotel. She's not going to pay for a hotel. She's going out day trip, start super early in the morning, come back later in the evening, and she's got only a half hour to eat this, and then she's got to go run get her train again.
Puede hacer una foto con el móvil también.
And as most young people do, they take pictures of their food to post it to their Instagram pages. I know I don't do this because I am far too lazy to do that, but this is what young people do. Okay.
Se me olvida
So
nunca.
she's, yeah, I'll take a picture with my cell phone. And there they don't call it celular, they call it a móvil.
Pues se ve mucho mejor con la cámara,
So that I
¿verdad?
don't forget. Yeah.
The pictures.
And-
Vamos a probar esto. Primero voy a echar
And
limoncito
we're going to
rico.
taste this. But
Wow.
voy a echar un limoncito. I'm going to toss on a little bit of lemon here. See? Limoncito meaning a little squeeze of it. Un limoncito. Voy a echar. Echar is toss it on. Okay, add it on. And here we're going to go a little bit faster because she's just commenting how much she loves it and how crunchy it is on the bottom. Oh, pueden ver, yeah. You can't see all the scorching on the bottom there, but she eventually resorts to using her
Bueno, me ha visto sufriendo
spoon
con
and
el cuchillo, entonces me ha dado una cuchara que me ayuda mucho a sacar el socarrat.
yeah,
Es mi
so
parte favoritísima. Y
she's got to use a couple of utensils to scrape it all up, right? She's talking about which utensils they gave her.
a veces me
Una
da miedo
cuchara,
pedir cosas
spoon.
con sepia porque a veces se queda duro, pero
And she's talking about sepia there. Sepia is a cuttlefish, which looks pretty gross when you look at a picture of a cuttlefish. But almost all paella is principally a seafood thing. Okay. Seafood being the meat or, meaty type ingredient, even though, we don't put meat and fish always in the same category, but seafood component. And she talks about it's really the season for sepia cuttlefish. They put in all kinds of
eso no es
different
duro para nada. Y creo que de hecho es
seafoods.
la época de la sepia, creo. ¿Se escucha?
Se escucha, listen for the crunch.
Escucha. Esta paella es uno de los negros. Es que estoy pensando en cuál tengo
And
que comprar.
apparently they call it a black paella, I think because the bottom is so scorched.
Negra, no es la de acero. Entonces, pues dime en los comentarios si
Or
tú sabes hacer
actually,
paella.
paella negra, she's talking about the pan because it's a black pan. Because then she talks about a metal pan. Usually you get kind of a stainless steel type pan. This was a black pan. So it was served in a black pan and it's a dark crust on the bottom. Una
Si
paella
la
negra, ¿sí?
es mejor para el socarrat o el de acero.
And okay, so that kind of a black, what do we call that? The kind of pans. Oy, ayúdenme.
Cast iron?
Cast iron. Yeah, kind of like a cast iron as opposed to doing a stainless steel. The acero would be like a stainless steel pan. So that's probably how you get it that crusty, is that it's like got a cast iron kind of feel to that paella pan it's in instead of stainless steel, acero. So I would imagine that's what she's referring to. Oh, I think it's got crayfish, shrimp. So, they're heavy on the seafood there, but they're right next to the sea. So that makes sense. And I am happy.
Y de sal está perfecta. Es que no sé si voy a comer todo, pero llevarlo en el tren tampoco lo veo muy
I'm going to have to eat it all. She's debating about, do I take it with me or not? Remember, para llevar is to go. Yeah. So do I eat it here? Do I take it with me? She's only got 30 minutes to eat this. So she's doing the debate.
así que igual me lo como rapidito y ya está.
Well, she's decided, nope, I'm going to eat this all real, eat it up. Me lo como rapidito. I'll eat it up. Me lo como rapidito. I'll eat it up fast. I'll gobble it down. Me lo como rapidito. I'll gobble it down. I'll snarf it.
Buah, es que estoy feliz. Esto era mi intención. Venir,
This was
comer
my
paella
intention,
y estar feliz.
to come to eat
Tener
paella.
coches, casas,
And I'm happy with that. I don't need lots of other fancy stuff. I just want to have the good food.
Bueno, pues misión accomplished.
Misión cumplida. And we'll fast forward a little bit. Oh, but notice,
¿Qué es eso?
lo he conseguido. I have gotten it. And the he conseguido, again, it's a present perfect. When they're talking about things they've just finished doing or they did earlier in the day, this is a very common thing instead of pretérito, and that lo he conseguido. I've gotten it.
Y no puedo ser más feliz, la verdad. Y estos
Couldn't be
días
happier.
Me he sentido un poco de bajón. Bueno, no sé cómo
Me he sentido un poco de bajón. So here is why she came.
estos días me he sentido un poco de
Estos días me he sentido un poco de bajón. These days, I've been feeling a little down. Yeah. De bajón, which I gave you on your vocab list. De bajón means just feeling low, not clinically depressed. I've been feeling low. I've been feeling funky mood, crummy. Yeah, crummy mood. See, de bajón.
Bueno, no sé cómo explicarlo. Hay una
I don't know how to explain it, she says. There's a word in English, in a funk, and they didn't translate that right. In a funk, F-U-N-K, yeah, in a funky mood, you're in a downer mood, that's de bajón.
No sé, que no te encuentres bien, ¿no?
I don't know, no te encuentres bien, you just don't feel well. No te encuentres bien, that you don't feel well, that things are kind of piling up on you. Acumulan, yeah, things are piling up on you. And you get to a moment and you say, I don't want to do anything. Yeah. No quiero hacer nada. And that's de bajón. Yeah. Everything's piling on top of you. You're in a downer kind of mood. And I've had it. Yeah. De bajón. I'm in a downer kind of mood. And necesitaba un cambio de aire. I needed a change of air. And you need a change of place. You just need a change to go to a different place. See? And now I can go back for about 30 euros or less. Y he visto, I have seen. So notice, you see these little things sprinkled in, these little perfect tense things. I've at least seen some trains from Valencia. If you need a change of venue, grab a train. Grab a train. They're super cheap. And you can come back the same night and you don't have to pay for a hotel. I don't know if I should try to finish this or take it with me. This fish, you can't take this with you. Este pescado no se puede llevar. You can't take this with you. Not a takeout item. So, in the heat, the fish is going to turn. Okay. Y rápido. Now she's got a problem. She's got a problem because she only had 30 minutes to eat and she's got to hoof it back to the train. Hoofing it back to the train. Lo hemos intentado. We have tried to do it. Lo hemos intentado. We have tried to do it.
Me siento que voy a vomitar.
I feel like I'm going to, barf. And I sure didn't want to be barfing on the train. If I eat too fast, I might upchuck. Okay. but I have enjoyed it a lot. Lo he disfrutado. So just note that. Lo he disfrutado. I have enjoyed it a whole lot. And she's talking about what she just did 30 minutes ago. So in Spain, they prefer to put that into lo he disfrutado.
Ha merecido la pena porque en Madrid
I believe it has been worth it. See, merecer is deserved. It has deserved la pena, the pain. It has been worth the effort. Ha merecido la pena. It has been worth the effort.
no se encuentra
Because in
eso.
Madrid,
Y si se encuentra,
you don't find
pues,
this. So you don't find this paella in Madrid. Turns out my little tour guide friend was correct too.
no sé
Okay, she
dónde.
says the same thing.
Entonces, dime en los comentarios si conocéis algún sitio que hace la paella así,
And she's
porque
asking if
como
other
en
people who
Valencia,
live in Madrid maybe do know a paella place. She's like, I don't find this in Madrid.
tiene su socarrao,
It's not like
tiene
it is in
su
Valencia.
dureza, que no es tan, ¿sabes? Blandito.
Yeah, you don't have that combination of the soft and the hard underneath. It's just not the same.
Y lo probaré. Así que nada, voy corriendo para el tren.
Voy corriendo para el tren. Para is her destination. Now I've got to go running to catch that train. And para is telling her destination. El tren, ¿sí? El tren para el tren a Madrid. To get to the train in Madrid. So now she's got to hoof it. And things are getting complicated. It just started to rain. There's complication number
A
one.
ver si llegamos. Porque
Oh, let's see if we can get there.
para pedir un taxi no sé ni dónde, entonces
Yeah, you get a
corriendo,
taxi.
porque no tengo tiempo para
I'm going running because I haven't got time. I haven't got
¿sabes?
time to
No
be
entiendo
waiting
algo.
for a
Por
taxi or
favor,
anything else.
déjame llegar a la estación antes de la tormenta.
And she's trying to get to the station before the storm
Qué
hits.
bonito. Para la gente que le gusta coches,
For people who like
me
cars,
imagino que eso es un coche guay, ¿no? No sé.
I think that's a pretty cool
Es
car.
que no controlo de coches.
2 hours
Okay.
later.
So now she's going to go on and in some detail about the problems she had. Estación de Chamartín is her station. This is the place she's got to get to where the train is going to go to.
Lo que
And
habéis perdido.
what you guys have missed, lo que habéis perdido, what you guys has missed.
Dios mío, yo no he estado tan cansada. en
I
mi
haven't
vida.
been so tired ever in my
Te lo juro,
life.
te lo juro.
So
Bueno,
I swear to you, I swear to you.
pues resulta
Turns
que
out
el sitio de paella, bueno, yo me fui a
that the
las
paella place,
7:25 así.
and she's talking about the time she got there and the time she left, the time she only had
Llegar
a
a
half
las
hour to
8
eat, remember.
porque el
But, she had to get to the train station at 8,
caminando
get back.
eran 15 minutos.
It was supposed to be a 15-minute walk. See? Para llegar a las 8, to get there at 8, because walking 15 minutes. Okay, so
Entonces iba a llegar
she figured
a las
she was leaving at a
7:40
good
para
time.
mi tren
If I leave around 7:40, 15 minutes to walk. Easy peasy, right?
a las 8. Resulta que hay obras.
Turns out there's road work. Obras means works. And what she's talking about is there were probably streets blocked off and walkways blocked off. Obras means there's construction.
Google supuestamente no sabe de estas obras, aunque
And Google was not registering this. So she pulled up Google. My children do this all the time. Oh, I'll put up the walking directions on Google. She pulled up the walking directions, and Google apparently did not know that there was road
literalmente
work
son obras,
blocking things
gigantescas.
on the
Yo no
walk.
sabía de estas
And
obras
they're
porque,
huge, gigantescas. They are huge road work
no
areas.
controlo Valencia,
And it
no
didn't
vivo
know
ahí. Y
about
bueno,
them.
básicamente,
And well,
yo
I
me
don't
fui
control this. I don't live here.
por la ciudad para ir
Basically, I had to take off running. Básicamente, yo me fui corriendo. Basically, I had to take off running through the city
intentar
to
evitar
try
dar la
to
vuelta, pero cuando vi que era
avoid all these
imposible,
turns.
pero cuando digo imposible es
And
porque era imposible
And when I say it was impossible, it was impossible. And yeah, to do a 40-minute walk, I had like 10 minutes to do this now by the time I figured this out. And I grabbed a taxi and told him I was in a hurry. And he took me to the station. Él me llevó a la estación. He took me to the station with 3 minutes. And now there was a line with suitcases all over for security. And now she's trying to excuse herself. She's jumping the line, which is, of course, bad manners. But I don't even know which train I've got to go to, but I saw Madrid. I saw Martín. And now she's confused because she doesn't see the right sign to get to the place where she needs to get to in Madrid. And I got really confused. And okay, I realized, okay, this is the right sign. The girls are all saying run. And now she's going to talk about some other things that aren't super important, but basically she's going to say, I meant to be filming on the way in so you could see our problems. But if I had stopped to film anything, I would have missed the train. Totally have missed the whole train. So, okay, our little walkthrough. But it's a lot of kind of almost stream of consciousness talking, which is why it was probably tough for you to catch everything she was talking about. But this is a better picture of, right, what it looks like on the bottom of the pan. Yeah, this type of socarrat, that type of dish. So you get that. Okay, bien, a little better.
Sí.
It is kind of in a way, she's almost doing a stream of consciousness. Oh, this happened. This went wrong. That went wrong. Everybody at the station. Now that went wrong. It was going to rain. That went wrong. All kinds of road work. That went wrong. Now I'm running. Now I had to grab a taxi. Now there are people in line. Now I had to jump the line and I look like a jerk. And yeah. And she just barely made it with, she said, literally seconds to go. Okay.
So, Marilyn, when you translate that, for me personally, there's dozens of concepts that I'm reminded of. I mean, it's really, really, really helpful. More than just a concept, but lots of, where do the prepositions fall? Where do the da-da-da-da? So just speaking for me personally, it's extraordinarily helpful.
Okay, bien. So all you really need to know really is the big idea she's communicating. And she was communicating in sort of a jumbled way because she's a millennial in a hurry and just trying to relate her experience. She's not trying to give anybody a grammar lesson. She's just trying to show her experience and why and how wonderful this food looks and how yummy it is. And now I got a dash. And how busy their lives are. This is the way our kids are. I know this is the way my kids are. Okay. Bien. Pero aquí tenemos ideas de, por ejemplo, de hablar de por qué vale la pena. What's it worthwhile for to make a day trip for a meal? I don't know. Yeah. So let's just see if you can insert some ideas through here. Vale la pena viajar and you're going to plug in a city or a place, a physical place, some kind of physical place. Vale la pena, it's worth it. Mm-hmm. Literally, it is worth it is worth the pain, but we just say it's worth it. Vale la pena viajar a boom, boom, boom. Por ejemplo, vale la pena viajar a Valencia para pedir una paella, para pedir paellas. Bien, sí. Okay, vale. Sus ideas, your ideas here.
Vale la pena viajar a Frank and Lupe's en Old Town Scottsdale para pedir número 7, espinaca enchiladas con salsa verde.
Ah, bien. Un restaurante especial en Old Town, un barrio, una colonia en Scottsdale. Bien. Vale la pena viajar a la misión también en Old Town para pedir. ¿Qué son? Algo al vapor. El gazpacho, cierto. Y almejas al vapor, almejas al vapor. Ok, bueno, otras ideas.
Vale la pena viajar a Sedona, esquitos, para camarones.
Oh, para camarones.
Yeah.
Muy bien, camarones. Camarones, gambas, shrimp. We use camarones a little bit more than gambas. Sí, camarones, shrimp. Sí, fantástico. Bueno, ¿qué más?
Para mí, vale la pena viajar 10 minutos a Al's en Scottsdale para la plato con chimichanga de chimichangas con queso crema y queso cheddar. Es muy deliciosos.
Bien, bien. Bueno.
De acuerdo, de acuerdo.
A ver, muy bien, ¿sí? Otro ejemplo, vale la pena viajar a California para pedir los mariscos frescos. Para mariscos frescos, vale la pena viajar a California, ¿bien? Bueno, otros lugares, other places.
Había un restaurante italiano en un resort en Scottsdale que tenía el mejor fettuccine Alfredo. El servicio estaba lento, pero valió la pena ir allí. I can't say this word. Desafortunadamente.
Perfecto, ok, desafortunadamente, unfortunately.
El resort cambió y el restaurante ya no está allí.
Se cerró, it closed, se cerró. Qué lástima, bien. Ok, vale. Bueno, ¿algo más? ¿Otro lugar? ¿No? Bien, adelante. Bueno, Esteban, sí.
Sí, vale la pena viajar a Brooklyn, Nueva York, y ir a Gino's, un restaurante italiano, y pedir por su veal parmesano. Veal parmesan es el más mejor plato de esta comida del mundo.
El mejor plato del mundo, the best, el mejor plato del mundo, el mejor, muy bien, excelente, muy bien. Hay otra idea o otro plato, ¿no? Adelante. Siguiente. Bueno, vamos a ver aquí. Solo se sirve un pum, pum, pum auténtico en bum, bum, bum. Ciudad o país. Solo se sirve, por ejemplo, solo se sirve una pizza auténtica en Nueva York. Se dice, ¿sí? Los nativos de Nueva York me dicen que solo se sirve una pizza auténtica en Nueva York. Bien, hay otra cosa.
Para mí, tienes que ir a Italia o tal vez a Francia para encontrar un gelato auténtico.
Un gelato auténtico solo se sirve en Italia. Me imagino que sí. Muy bien, muy bien. Bueno, otra idea.
Solo se sirve un sushi auténtico en el Japón.
Lo creo. I believe that. Sí, lo creo, sí. Y me encanta el sushi.
Marilyn, I had a hard time with this because I was trying to figure out, first of all, if this was a question. And then when you say solo se sirve, they serve only.
They only serve.
can't
They
translate that.
only serve an authentic blah blah blah.
Oh, okay. They only serve. Okay, gracias.
Or you might say they only serve a
It's only
real.
serve.
They only serve an authentic. Sí.
Okay, gracias.
Sí. Bueno, a ver. An authentic something is only served in. Solo se sirve. See, we often say they only serve. Yeah, they only have, right? But when we talk about that in a really general sense, it's usually expressed as se sirve. It is served. Es así. Bien. Ok, otra idea de otro plato. Sí, bueno, Kathy.
No se sirve una tipo de taco auténtico a Taco Bell.
No.
Sí.
Tienes razón, sí. No se sirve un taco típico en Taco Bell. No. Bueno, ¿qué más?
Solo se sirve un pesto auténtico en Liguria, Italia.
¿Está en el norte?
Sí, sí, Cinque Terre. Sí,
Bueno, pesto, sí. La salsa, sí, con... bien, fantástico. Bueno, y Esteban.
Sí. I could say La Ciudad de Kansas, that's Kansas City. In Kansas City, esta sería barbecue.
Barbacoa.
Sí. Gates or Arthur Bryant's.
Okay.
Is not enough.
De rico, ¿no? Sí, o la barbacoa está rica. La barbacoa es especialmente rica en Kansas City. Hay como luchas o guerras de barbacoa en Estados Unidos, ¿no? Entre varias ciudades. Hay ciudades en Tennessee que compiten con su barbacoa, por ejemplo, ciudades en Kansas, ciudades en Texas. Hay competición entre varias ciudades de Estados Unidos con la calidad o el estilo de la barbacoa. ¿Sí?
So en realidad, nada compara con Kansas City.
Nada compara con Kansas City. Vale. Bueno.
Yo viajado, I don't know, Kansas City hace 4 semanas y descubrió Dickies. y mi amiga, well, introdució, anyway.
Oh, no.
Yo, ayuda en descubrir.
Bien. Me
Este
presentó. She
restaurante.
presented to me. Me presentó.
Les presentó este restaurante.
Ah, bien.
Y le di, yo le dijo,
Yo le dije
que no tengo barbacoa en
barbacoa.
Scottsdale, pero descubrió que Dickies es
Ujú.
aquí también.
Ah, bien,
Es
sí.
verdad.
Ah,
Es
sí.
verdad.
Introducir no es introduce. Introducir es como poner algo dentro. To put something, sí, introducir. To pop something inside of something else. Sí. Me presentó, ella me pidió, she ordered for me, me pidió una barbacoa, sí, me llevó al restaurante, pum, pum, pum. Yeah, she took me to, yeah. We wouldn't use introduced in that same way with Spanish, quite that way. She either took me to this place for the first time, por primera vez, sí. Yeah, we just have to tweak the way we say that so that it sounds a little more natural. Sí, me llevó. So the easiest way probably to say that, Kathy, is me llevó por primera vez. She took me for the first time. Me llevó por primera vez al restaurante, pum, pum, pum. Y el nombre. ¿Sí?
Y es bueno, delicioso.
Bueno, ok, vale, sí. Muy bien. Ok, adelante aquí. ¿Por qué es tan especial esa comida? ¿Por qué es tan especial?
I said el sushi se sirve en Japón está especial porque los ingredientes son siempre frescos
Sí.
y los chefs, ¿cómo
Los
se-
chefs,
chef?
sí. Los
Los
cocineros,
chefs
los
de
chefs.
sushi son perfeccionistas y están orgullosos de sus cocinas.
Orgullosos,
They're very
proud.
proud of their preparation.
Ok. Están orgullosos, they are proud, están orgullosos de crear el sushi perfecto.
Sí.
Son perfeccionistas, bien, sí, pero están orgullosos, ¿sí?
Okay.
Están orgullosos, they are proud, right? If you say son orgullosos, it means they are full of themselves. Aren't I great? Aren't I great? But no, están orgullosos. They feel proud because, yeah, it's how they feel.
I cannot say orgullosos.
Orgullosos. I'll show you very briefly why orgulloso is such a tough word to pronounce, and I'll put it in caps so you can see why. Orgulloso. 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 Orgulloso.
Orgulloso.
Orgulloso. Es una palabra muy difícil de pronunciar. Orgulloso. Proud. Están orgullosos. Bien. Bueno, y ¿tienen ustedes más ideas de por qué es tan especial esa comida?
Es el sabor y la consistencia lo que hace que el gelato sea el mejor en Italia.
Sí. muchas veces con la paella de Valencia es tan especial porque tiene otra vez ingredientes frescos y también la textura. La textura de los mariscos y del arroz es perfecto, ¿sí? La textura es perfecto. Bien. Fantástico. Otras ideas de por qué es especial la comida. Muchas veces son los ingredientes, ¿sí?
Sí.
Porque aquí donde vivimos tenemos barbacoa, tenemos buenos ejemplos de platos mexicanos aquí en Arizona, pero no tenemos mariscos realmente frescos, no.
Sí.
No existe aquí porque vivimos en el desierto. Es
Es
imposible.
difícil.
Es difícil transportar, llevar los mariscos bien frescos aquí al desierto y entonces cuesta mucho,
Sí.
cuesta
Pero-
mucho más.
Pero puedes ir a Puerto Penasco.
Ah,
Oh, sí.
sí, es otra cosa, sí, sí. Entonces sí, porque están en la costa, están en la bahía, en la bahía, en the bay, en la bahía, tienen acceso tienen es muy fácil obtener buenos mariscos, sí, eso es. Ok. Ah, ¿cuáles, ¿Cuáles eran ingredientes únicos de un plato favorito tuyo en tu juventud? What were special ingredients of stuff you really loved eating as a kid? Algo. Para mí, el, el pan, el pan de las panaderías, porque sí, eran panaderías de verdad. En el pueblo donde nací, ese pan era perfecto, tan fresco y es una memoria que tengo, sí, de mi juventud. El pan de las panaderías. Todo fresco. ¿Hay algo más de ingredientes o no? Kathy, sí.
Mi madre echaba galletas, is that cookies or
Galletas.
galletas con coconut. Y,
Coco. Sí.
y eran muy deliciosos.
Deliciosas. Galletas deliciosas, sí.
deliciosas.
Mi mamá hacía un pastel fantástica, pastel de manzanas.
Oh,
Y donde nació yo, en Michigan, sí, hay, hay una gran cantidad de árboles de manzanas, ¿no? Y entonces, con manzanas frescas, ella siempre hacía un pastel fantástico de manzanas. Y el ingrediente especial, las manzanas. ¿Sí? Vale. ¿Qué más? ¿Nada? ¿Sí? ¿Eso? ¿Sí? Rachel habló de lo verde, que es Valencia. Lo verde, how green it is. Lo verde. Lo verde, que es Valencia. ¿Sí? ¿Cuál es tu lugar favorito cuando necesitas estar en un paisaje verde? Porque no tenemos paisaje verde aquí. Cierto, ¿no? especialmente ahora durante el verano.
Para mí, una isla tropical.
Oh,
Me gusta las lagunas en Minnesota que y los bosques de pinos. Ahí.
Bosques de pino, sí, pine forest.
ah,
Bosque de pino, sí. Sí, muy al norte, sí. A mí me gusta ir a Flagstaff para ver,
¿sí?
¿sí? A Flagstaff, por lo general, es un lugar muy verde, ¿no?
Sí, sí, sí. Ponderosa Pines.
Sí.
Sí. Ok, vale, bueno, algo más. Y sí, muy al norte, en Estados Unidos, todo es verde, sí, todo es verde durante el verano.
Para mí, en las colinas de Vermont. Sí, la universidad más grande de Vermont es UVM, and in francés it's University of Verdemont, of the Green Mountains.
Bien,
Sí.
sí. De las montañas de Vermont, sí.
Sí, sí, sí.
Un lugar con muchísimos bosques, sí. Bosques enormes, sí. Bueno, we've only got a few minutes left, so let's leave our last question here for something to finish up with. ¿Sí? ¿Cuáles son los destinos más populares para escaparse del calor? ¿Cuáles son los destinos que tenemos aquí para que son populares para escaparse del calor? ¿Cuáles son? Flagstaff es un destino para
Alaska.
escaparse.
Muy popular. Popular.
Sí.
San Diego.
San Diego, sí, San Diego. San
Sí.
Diego es un destino muy popular, especialmente para familias con chicos y con pequeños niños. Entonces, sí, una familia puede ir a la playa de San Diego y lo van a pasar muy bien. And you'll really have a good time. Bueno, ¿qué más?
Alaska.
Durango, Colorado.
Durango, sí. También buen destino, ¿sí? Está a más altura, ¿sí?
Sí,
Sí.
yeah. Yeah.
Y hace fresco más o menos durante el verano en Durango.
Yeah, 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 sí, yeah.
Sí.
Más fresco, yeah.
Pero porque está a una altura.
Sí, y árboles.
Y árboles también,
Yeah,
sí,
yeah.
eso también. Fantástico. Y hay lugares para esquiar en invierno en Durango, ¿no? También.
Sí. En verano, verano, puedo hike y bicicleta y river raft.
Bien. Sí, puede hacer kayak, puedes hacer excursiones en senderos, ¿sí? Todo eso, bien. Deportes de agua, deportes con caminar en las montañas, sí, un poquito de todo. Bien, hay otros destinos para escaparse. Puerto Peñasco, cierto, sí. Puerto Peñasco también es popular, ¿no?
Sí.
No, para ti
Y
no.
Lake Tahoe.
Oh, sí.
Yeah,
Lake Tahoe.
Lake Like
Yeah.
Tajo también, sí, sí, el lago de Tajo también es un destino popular, sí. Ah, vale, fantástico. Muy bien, sí, ustedes hicieron bien. You guys did well with that. What I'm going to give you for next week, well, for next week, not for next week, because actually we will not have class next week, but I want you to think about a little bit this way that she combined in the video these little structures. See estos videos, these little structures. Just notice that. I'll send you this little file again so you can see. In Mexico, it's really much more preferred to just use plain old kind of vanilla flavor pretérito to talk about what you did really recently. But Spaniards like to use this if it's something that happened in the day we're in right now. Okay, so this thing of using presente perfecto, which they talked about in our little video, is one of the uses of haber. Here are all the little forms of haber. For the yo form, has, hemos, habéis, only used, of course, in Spain, and han. So you'll combine he hablado, I have spoken, he comido, I have eaten. So when Spaniards talk about what they have eaten, like just a couple of hours ago, they're more likely to combine it and use it as an he comido. He comido una buena paella. I have eaten a good paella. Right? He comprado. Hemos entendido. Hemos asistido. We have attended. You know, and generally, if it's done in that day or within the last few hours, this is kind of a favored structure. And it's just a different way of talking about the past. So I'll send you this little structure again. So just kind of
is
think
it never
about that.
used for something further in the past than just today?
It is used for the have you ever idea also. So, por ejemplo, alguna vez, at some time. ¿Alguna vez has viajado a Alemania? Have you ever traveled to Germany? ¿Alguna vez has probado sushi? Have you ever tasted sushi? So it's got kind of two jobs. One job is the have you ever, meaning this is something you have experienced, just like we use that in English too. I have never been to blah, 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 and you name a place, right? Have been. We use the same thing. But Spaniards really like to use this to talk about recent past, what happened to them during the course of today. And if it gets into the realm of tomorrow, then they'll tend to plug in pretérito more. Okay? But it's kind of, I'm not going to say flipped because that isn't quite right. Latin American Spanish will tend to use this present perfect for the have you ever and for kind of more formal speech, but Latin American Spanish favors plain old pretérito more than this. So it's just a cultural way, it's a cultural preference of Spain to use this structure to talk about today, recently, last few hours, whereas Mexicans are more likely to talk about what happened 2 hours ago using pretérito.
What about in South America? In Colombia or Chile?
I think largely the same. You'll hear pretérito and imperfecto more. You'll hear that blend more. I think it's just this side of the Atlantic trend. So a lot of times when you hear some of the videos of people who live in Spain, you'll hear this structure a lot. Okay. So what do they use to talk about something that truly is beyond today? They'll use pretérito. They'll use not present perfect, but past perfect to show something way further back in the past, but that's kind of a story for another day. So anyway, I'll send you this little thing, so if you want to say, I have seen something, this can be interpreted as the have you ever seen, or have you seen it recently in the last few hours? That's the way that tends to work. See? Bien? Vale? I am going to give you a video that will be way easier because it's somebody who's used to telling stories with repetition. You're going to get a story about, and this will be for our hiatus when we're not meeting. Momentito. And I am in the process in the morning of working up a little vocabulary list, because you'll need a little vocabulary list. And you're going to hear some of those position words too. Agustina, and she does know to repeat and to show pictures and to give you coaching clues in her video, but she's talking, and don't let the advanced title, how do planes fly? And you'll hear some of these positional words like above and below. So you'll start to hear those words get plugged in again. But she's going to talk a little bit about the mechanics of what makes a plane fly. What makes a plane fly. And she'll do it at a very comfortable pace and repeat a lot of her words and repeat drawings to help you figure that out. ¿Sí, bien?
Sí.
Bien. At 24 minutos, 24 minutes. So it's a nice long one since you've got a couple of weeks open. Yeah. A nice long one where you can divide it up into little 5-minute segments if you want. And no questions really attached to it, but I will send you a list of vocabulary words that will help you, because she talks about the top of the wing, some different parts of the plane. So just little bits of tidbits to help you with that. ¿Todo bien? All good?
Yeah.
Sí.
Sí.
Gracias.
Bueno,
Muchas
excelente.
gracias.
Y sí, de nada, sí, fue un placer. It was a pleasure. And we've got a couple of weeks off here, so you can kind of rest, recharge. Some folks are already on vacation, and some of you might be still going someplace for Labor Day weekend. So if you do, safe travels to all, sí. Y nos vemos más tarde en septiembre, ¿verdad?
Sí. Adiós.
Excelente, excelente. Sí, muchísimas gracias a ustedes.